Hello everyone, welcome to this weekend edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, close to 5 months after 6 government workers were abducted in the Indian division, 1 killed and 5 still missing, the Southwest Governor Benau Bilai gives a 30-day injunction for the return of election or elected officials in that part of the country, or administrative sanctions will follow. He was speaking during the installation of the new senior division officer of the Indian division in Mundemba. Also in this newscast, we will raise your appetite for one of the best traditional meals in the Republic of Cameroon, notably in the northwest region, commonly known as Achu. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe television. We begin right away in the Indian division, southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, where the Southwest Governor Benau Bilai has said that the killing of government officials, soldiers, and other civilians within the context of the close to 5-year-long armed conflicts must come to an end, and he called on the population to stand up and fight against insecurity and put an end to the bloodshed that has been going on for close to 5 years today. He gave an injunction of 30 days for all elected officials to return, or administrative sanctions will follow. And he was speaking during the installation of the new senior division officer of the Indian division in the absence of the mayor of Mundemba and his assistants. Details with Derry Jato.
Southwest Governor Bernard Okaliabila is entering Mundemba, chief town of Indian division, and as he drove along these villages, his eyes are surely recording the realities on the ground. Some schools are not operational, and in places like this one, everywhere is quiet, empty, and houses abandoned. In some villages, the population is not only coming back, but there are also signs of newborn too, as kids wave at his convoy in excitement. With schools fully operational in such areas, the administrative head of the Southwest region descended to Mundemba for the installation of Gilbert Gibai Baldena as the senior divisional officer for Indian division. He is succeeding Fowang Lawrence, whose contributions Governor Bernard Okaliabila enumerated.
That SEO was engaged in bringing back to normalcy the situation of peace, security, and order. The new SDO should continue that task.
But before the installation ritual proper, the Southwest Governor called for a minute of silence for the divisional delegate who was assassinated by the separatist fighters. For close to 5 months, with 5 other divisional delegates still missing, the governor called on the population of Indian division to collaborate.
Those who are coming, those who have been sent to accompany development are under threat, are killed and are assassinated. We must put an end to that situation, and the population should wake up.
The governor also revealed that there is another noticeable and disturbing situation in Indian division with the elected officials.
People were fighting to become mayors. They were ready to do everything to become MP. Today, when it is to assume the responsibility on a daily basis to help the population, they are not there. What does that mean? I give you 30 days. If they are not back, we'll bring back your report to Boya, and I will see with the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, the Prime Minister, how in January they will feel where they search.
There was no mayor, nor his deputy to welcome the governor, for instance.
Today, the mayor, who usually welcome personalities like the officer, is not there. None of his assistants is there.
To Gilbert Gibai Baldena, the new senior divisional officer for Njan Division, the Southwest governor reminded him of the sensitive nature of this border division.
We are the gateway into our country by the sea and the exit. That gateway and that exit should not become a boulevard for criminals who are carrying weapons, who are carrying ammunition, drugs, and other many things to disturb our country.
Gilbert Gibai Baldena hails from Mokolo in the far north region of Cameroon, and before his appointment last October 15, 2021, he was the divisional officer for Bamida 1 subdivision in the northwest region.
And still in the southwest region, FACO senior divisional officer tells the divisional officer of Limbe 1 subdivision to fight Ghost Town, the Ghost Town operation imposed by non-state armed groups in the two Anglophone regions of the country within the context of the armed conflict going on there. He tells the divisional officer of Limbe 1 to fight that and insecurity. The SDO of the FACO division was speaking while commissioning the new divisional officer into his functions. Davidson Maimo has more.
I join you without delay to quickly take the temperature and the state of what is happening on the ground.
FACO senior divisional officer in Gamba Emmanuel Do, as he commissioned the new DO to Limbe 1 subdivision, Moni Innocent Nanja, into his function. The SDO besieged him to begin work immediately with priority in putting an end to Monday's Ghost Town.
To remain a positive synergy to overcome security challenges, Monday Ghost Town, land and chieftaincy issues, urban disorders, to name a few.
Limbe 1 Mayor Katrin Eposim Boye says, without a solution to these problems, development is far-fetched.
All these problems are set back to the economic development of our municipality.
The new deal pledged to accompany the people of Limbe 1 subdivision towards development.
My plan of action for my stay here, I would say it will be threefold: service, loyalty, and peace.
The new divisional officer transferred from Kongsamba takes over from Acha Gibet Kwenti, appointed as Secretary General to the Southwest Governor's Office. The event witnessed the award of medals to some uniformed officers and civilians for their meritorious work.
A man suspected to have killed his wife is now in detention at the judicial police in Bonanjo, Douala, Cameroon's economic capital, and the elements of the judicial police in Bonanjo presented the man who is suspected to have stabbed his wife to death. That was on the 30th of October 2021 in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision, and the 35-year-old Raul was accused of killing his wife before escaping to Suza, and now he has been arrested. Greater details on this in this extract of Esono Edu Asen. He is the head of the criminal investigation unit of the Bonanjo Judicial Police. Take a listen.
And the police began to track him. He was found at Suza with the help of the element of the public security post of Suza. This guy will be presented to the prosecutor of the Republic.
That was the head of the criminal investigation unit of the Bonanjo Judicial Police here in Douala speaking there. And I told you in the headlines that we're going to raise your appetite for one of the most prominent, so to speak, traditional meals in the Republic of Cameroon, commonly known as achu. This is one of the traditional meals eaten by the people of the northwest region, but also the west and across the board in the Republic of Cameroon. Mala Glory takes us into the preparation and the consumption of achu in this report.
One finger round the world, as it is commonly known, or rather achu, its original name It is a Cameroonian dish originated from the grass field, the northwest region of Cameroon. We are in one of the renowned restaurants in the city of Douala. Here, the main dish is achu and yellow soup, also known as food for the kings. Yes, the food contains a lot of meat. That is why it is commonly referred to as obstacles. It is a dish prepared when visiting traditional rulers or elders as a sign of honor. This is because of its rich ingredients. To take note of this culinary heritage associated to this popular dish, we asked Miss Virginie, the owner of this restaurant, to show us a step-by-step preparation of the achu. Cocoyams, vegetables, oil, meat, and local ingredients are the essentials. Preparing achu can be a laborious process. The cocoyams are boiled under high pressure, pounded into fufu using a wooden mortar and a pestle. The best way to pound is pounding while dragging the pestle behind. The yellow soup is prepared using warm water and palm oil. Indigenous spices and stock meats are added to the soup to give it sweet, unique aroma. I add palm oil to warm water, then mix thoroughly. Then I add my spices and mix again to avoid lumps. You see how the color is changing. One of the particularities of achu is the saving process, as Virginie's employers demonstrate this to us. The fufu is dished in a plate, bore a hole in the middle, and the corners are sealed and well shaped. This is to prevent your yellow soup from being spilled when you pour the soup in the bore hole. Meat, vegetables, egusi, garden egg, and hide, commonly known as kanda, is decorated around the plate. According to the consumers, the food is more enjoyable when eating as a group or in a restaurant like this with friends. Days like Sundays is reserved for achu. This because we meet with friends, brothers and sisters, sometimes to eat together. It is always good to share a moment like this. Apart from its health benefits such as carbohydrates, protein and vitamin, it also gives to the gobbler energy. After a tedious week, we need this kind of food to replenish the energy lost. With its rich cultural heritage, achu is one of the major traditional dishes in the Cameroonian society that brings people together. Achu, accompanied with palm wine, can be a source of conflict resolution.
Thanks very much, Malak Glory, for that very appetizing report there. Now, in news out of Cameroon, gunmen have killed 69 people plus a local mayor in a jihadist attack in a remote area of southwestern Niger amid a wave of violence against civilians that has swept through the country. This year and elsewhere, Ethiopians have pledged to support the government of that country to put an end to the violence in the Tigray region. Details of these and more with Innocent.
The killing of 69 people, including a local mayor, by jihadists has been confirmed by Niger's interior minister. A delegation led by the mayor of Bani Bango was ambushed on Tuesday, about 50 kilometers, 30 miles from the town near the border with Mali. The area is overrun by militants associated with a local affiliate of Islamic State that has killed hundreds of civilians in rural communities this year. 15 people survived and a search operation was underway. No group has so far claimed responsibility for the attack.
On Thursday in Nigeria, rescue services who continue with their search operation revealed that a total of 36 people perished when a story building collapsed on Monday in the capital Lagos. 33 men and 3 women have been pulled from the rubble, with 9 survivors. The incident occurred in the Ikoyi neighborhood in undetermined circumstances, while several dozen workers were on the site. Families and relatives of the victims were still waiting for news on Thursday on the collapse site. In Ethiopia, thousands filled a stadium in the capital Addis Ababa to show their support for new military recruits as the war escalates in the country. Addis Ababa Mayor Adanesh Abebe, while addressing the crowd, said, "There is no victory without sacrifice, and there is no surrender at this crucial time." This happens as Ethiopia's government lashed out in response to international alarm about hate speech, comparing rival Tigray forces to a rat that strays far from its hole, and saying the country is close to burying the evil forces. On Thursday, Ethiopia's parliament ratified the country's state of emergency by an overwhelming majority, as rival Tigray forces threaten to move on the capital. The state of emergency declared Tuesday by Ethiopia's government will last for 6 months.
Talking Point is up next. Engineer Elvis Pane, National Communications Secretary of the Popular Action Party, is our guest today. You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Babila Jonathan.
All right, we'll begin right away with information streaming into a newsroom from the Indian Division with the governor of the Southwest region giving an injunction of 30 days for elected officials, including the mayor and MPs, to be at their duty post or administrative sanctions will follow. And he did this during the installation of the new senior division officer of the Indian Division, close to 5 months after some 6 delegates, government delegates, were kidnapped, 1 killed and 5 still missing till today. What's your take on this?
Well, Mr. Babila, I think the governor should have begun by maybe telling the said elected officials the measures that have been taken to ensure that when they return to that same part of the country, nothing will tamper on their own security and lives. Secondly, I think it should have also been irresponsible for the governor if he had equally told the people or tell Cameroonians what has happened to the 5 remaining delegates, knowing that 6 of them were kidnapped and 1 got killed. Till today, close to 6 months after, the government officially has never made any statement with respect to what has happened to the 5 that we were told are left. And when he goes out giving injunctions, and we know that he as a person doesn't go out without his guard with him, the question is what are the measures, what guarantee has he given to ensure the safety of these other people he's talking about? We should not forget that they are also family heads. They are husbands, they are wives, they have children, they have people behind them who look up to them. And when you threaten them and they go back to those areas and maybe they get kidnapped or something happens to them, they have just their families that are left behind to mourn for them. The government never reacts, the government never says anything. So I want to think that the governor who represents maybe the head of state, they should be a little more responsible in the way they address these issues. And I think there are measures that need to be taken first before you threaten people to take up their post of responsibility.
About giving assurance on security measures taken by the government to ensure the security and safety of the people, the governor of the Southwest region, just like all other administrative authorities, have often given this assurance, telling the people that security measures have been taken. Government has put in place measures to ensure that they are safe, to ensure that they are secure.
Well, Mr. Babila, it is what they say. It is not what we see on the ground. If the governor tells you that measures have been taken, but the people who are on the ground do not see anything that represents or reflects what they say, what do you expect? They simply spend time, should I say, lying to Cameroonians when they say measures have been taken. And like I earlier mentioned, when they are going out into the field, they are protected. They have their guards with them. But now when those elected officials or other civil servants go out there to work, there is nobody that guarantees their security. They do not have any soldiers behind them to secure them from the arms fighters. That's why I say the first things need to be done first. And of course, given the present trend of events back there in the British Southern Cameroons, I want to think the first thing the government needs to think of as of now is to see how this war can come to an end, such that people go out there freely and they work like they used to do in the years of the past, not officials coming to threaten them and talking about sanctions and injunctions. And by the way, when the government talks about injunctions and sanctions, we should not also forget that in other parts of the country, be it here in Douala or in Yaoundé, we know of Lord Mayors, of MPs who have all abandoned their areas of command and they are all residing in these other regions. And I think that the government will just know them, they see them, they wine and they dine together.
But for what the governor was saying, Elvis, it will appear we can read within the lines of what he was saying some sort of negligence and focus on selfish interests as far as those elected officials are concerned, because he said when it's time for elections to canvass for votes, they are ready to do everything, to be mayors, to be MPs, but when it comes to the time to work, to do what they are expected to do with and for the population, they are absent.
Mr. Babila, if we want to talk about selfishness in the whole thing, I want to think that it is a total replica of the regime itself in place. They have always worked for their interests and not that of the people. Secondly, when he talks about doing everything to be voted, we know that in the recent twin elections, for instance, these same MPs and Lord Mayors, they left from other parts of the country to stream in there for elections, and they were guarded. Many of them went there in armored cars. And of course, after the elections, they came back. It was the same government that gave them the military to accompany them there for elections. So the same government should therefore maybe place the military behind them so that they can stay back in their different areas of jurisdiction and be able to do their work. But if you send them there, accompanied with armored cars to be elected, and then maybe you withdraw back your military, how do you therefore expect them to stay there and work? And of course, what I'm saying here is that what we see on the ground simply tells Cameroonians that there is total insecurity there, and so the government should stop pretending to want to make Cameroonians think that all is well and that people can work there safely without any fear or whatever thing.
And about the government, the delegates who were kidnapped close to 5 months ago, the governor really condemned that in strong words, saying that it has to come to an end, that the population should stand up to put an end to that. People who are sent to serve them shouldn't be killed.
No. The governor, like other government representatives, should not want to escape from their responsibilities by pushing the population to be the one to answer for that. When they say the population should step up, what should they step up and do? You are sending civilians to step up and face arms fighters? When you say you have a professional military that is trained and can handle the situation, and you have been telling them that the same situation is under control, I say no. Let them send their military to handle the situation, because we, for instance, of the Popular Action Party and other persons have made it known that the military option is not the best in handling this particular Anglophone crisis. But when they make us think that it is only through the military option, and recognizing that they have failed, they now want to push by the civilians, so they should step up. What do you tell a civilian to step up and do in the face of somebody who has a gun?
Are you saying that the civilians, the population, they have no role to play to restore peace and normalcy in those two regions?
Mr. Babila, we should be honest to ourselves. The population as it now stands are a victim caught between two guns. The state on one hand and the armed fighters on the other hand. And even if the population, if they had something to do, it should not be from the prison from which the governor says puts it. Like maybe we shall discuss about what even Mr. Tasson said. Like I said, they are escaping from their responsibility as a state and now wanting to let their common man with empty hands to face people face to them who have guns. And that's why I say it cannot work from that perspective. Let the
some consider that as a suicide mission, sending the people to go get themselves killed.
It is even worse than a suicide mission.
In the northwest region of the country, Minister Paul Tasson says that the ring road is not forthcoming because of insecurity, and that the people have to stand up and challenge fear and defeat fear for that project to be executed.
Of course, it comes back to what I talk about, escaping from responsibilities. Now, when they think that the population should stand and challenge fear or defeat fear for the project to kick off, but he should not forget that the ring road was announced 30 years ago. And that the recent crisis we are talking about only broke out, I think, about some 5 years back. So 25 years before, what happened that the ring road was never constructed? that they now think that it is because of insecurity? And do they fail to understand that when the crisis started in 2016, Minister Ngannou Njumesi showed us caterpillars claiming that work was ongoing? Just about a month ago, the Prime Minister, Chief John Nguti,
said work was going to begin on the Bamenda Babaju Road
by the end of the month. And very a few days after him, a minister of his comes again to tell the people that if they do not defeat fear, work will not kick off. Let me tell you the simple truth, Mr. Babylon. This regime has never had in mind to construct any ring road in the southern Cameroons. To them, it was just a fulfillment of a verse of the national anthem that talks about a land of promises, hoping that they were going to promise a road, and then the people will go to sleep, and then they continue with their Agenda 101, which was, of course, assimilation of the southern Cameroonians. I do not think that if they had in mind to construct the ring road, the crisis should have broke out without the ring road being constructed, because, like I say, crisis only started 25 years after the ring road was announced.
But where we are today, Elvis,
yes,
what should be done to continue to go forward from where we are today? That's where the minister is probably saying that where we might have failed to do it before, but where we are today, if we have to go forward, you people must defeat fear. The people must defeat fear.
The problem is where we need to go from here now, right? So I want to think that from us to go forward now here, the main thing is to solve the present crisis. It is no longer a matter of the ring road.
All right.
If peace should return to those two regions, I want to think that the ring road project will be executed.
The crisis should be solved.
Exactly.
Thanks a lot, Engineer Elvis Bane. You're the National Communication Secretary of the Popular Action Party. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for inviting me. And permit me just congratulate my national president, who was recognized of recent as the most consistent politician of the year by the Golden Awards.
All right, thanks ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. That's it for this weekend, our edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television, coming up right away from the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, La Presse dispute. And after that, Serge Alonso will be yours with Equinoxe Soir. Stay with us.